every relationship we have ever had has been a mirror. And it shows us where, sometimes it reflects back to us where we've done a lot of work, and it's lovely. Sometimes it reflects back to us how wonderful we are. And oftentimes, in our past, if it hasn't worked out, it's going to reflect where our self-worth is, where our immaturity is, where our trauma is. Every relationship we've ever had will reflect back to us the relationship we have with ourselves, period, end of story. And if one cannot actually accept that, they're just going to keep repeating patterns. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. If your picker is off and busted because...
Man, mine was off for years.
Yeah, because, like, whatever, you're addicted to the chaos, or daddy did this, or mommy did this. It's
familiar.
Of course, it's familiar, and this is very real. I don't mean to say it cavalierly. I mean, it's real. But then you have to recondition yourself to understand what a healthy person is, and go for that and become healthy yourself. Because most toxic relationships, of course, there are abusive relationships where there is actually a very clear victim and a very clear perpetrator. But most of the time, what people refer to as toxic, which is just an overused term in the current zeitgeist, but when people refer to toxic, it's two people with consistent, because we get unregulated once in a while, that's called being human, with consistent unregulated emotional states, blaming each other for each other's pain, and not taking responsibility.
You did this to me. You made me feel this way. What you did hurt me.
And they're constantly unregulated. That's toxicity. Now, I was, when in my 20s, in a horrendous relationship. Talk about chemistry. Because once you have chemistry with someone,
you're screwed.
You're screwed.
You feel this chemical connection. You're like, this feeling, you're intoxicated.
It's a wrap. And the thing is, if you haven't done work on yourself, you're going to have that chemical explosion with the one person who's bad for you. And oftentimes the person who's the best in bed is the person who's the worst for you. And usually you find the sex is amazing with them because there's a danger, and then there's also a familiarity. I mean,
there's like a trauma bonding or something.
Yeah, exactly. So I remember in my 20s, I was in a relationship with someone for about a year who, without question, is toxic. Like, there's just...
Right. You could feel it. You knew it.
Everyone knows it.
They're like, what are you doing with this guy?
Yeah,
he's treating you this way. And
everyone knows it. It's a fact, right?
But why did you stay then?
Exactly. Where's the toxicity in me, in the low self-worth and all of that? Because the thing about being in a very unhealthy relationship is the two people really bringing out the worst in each other.
Not the best, yeah.
Definitely not even close to the best. To the point where that when that relationship ends, part of getting over that relationship is trying to overcome the shame that you feel for like even going there.
Yeah, I was there. How long of a life did I have with this person? The time and the energy, and how could I do this? And what was I thinking? The shame, the guilt, right?
Yeah, and also just some of the things that you did. That's like, how did I do that?
How did I react this way?
Yeah, like that boundary that I do, or like that thing that I said. Like, yeah.
This is interesting. I ask people this sometimes. And I ask my younger self this now. I'm like, if sex was off the table, would I have stayed in certain relationships? And there's no way.
Yeah.
Zero chance I would have stayed after a year or 2 years of feeling like I'm abandoning myself or getting screamed at every week or whatever. I've been like, what am I doing this for? Like, why would I stay in this thing?
Yes.
For whatever reason, that chemical bonds you for a moment. And it's so strong. And then you're like, okay, well, let's have a few good days. And then it goes back into chaos. And you're like, let's get back to that feeling, right?
100%.
But if you took that off the table, or if you just waited for as long as you could.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying you have to wait until marriage, but if you wait until you get to experience someone over and over and over again in lots of scenarios, and you felt safe and peaceful, then maybe, okay, you can start into that sexual interaction, but if
and you can make out.
Yeah, of course. I'm just talking about intercourse, right?
Yeah.
But if you took it off the table and you ask yourself, would I be in this if we didn't have sex for a year? Probably you wouldn't.
Yes,
You'd be like, if I'm not gonna have sex for a year with this person, would I put up with this behavior?
Yeah,
would I get screamed at? Would I be yelled at? Like, no.
Exactly.
I don't need this. Right?
Yeah, I don't need this. Exactly. And people, they don't want to wait. And I always say, build that emotional intimacy first. Well, what if the sex is bad? You know what? You can work on it. And when you're making out with them, you know anyway. You can have some idea if there's
feel a connection by making out.
if there's there's chemistry from a kiss. Period.
Exactly.
So you don't have to go there.
And I've heard this a lot lately. They're like, if someone is boring, you should run towards them, not away from them. You know what I mean?
If all you know is chaos.
Is chemical chaos,
yes.
right? You should run to, that's a safer environment.
Yes.
It doesn't mean he's the one or she's the one to be with for you. But start looking at people that make you feel comfortable and safe.
Yes. Where you can, I tell people all the time who have that pattern of always just dating emotionally unavailable people or people that have been wrong for them. And usually what that person doesn't have the self-esteem necessary to be in a relationship with someone who is going to respect them and love them. But I tell them, just practice, go towards boring. Exactly. Go towards that person so that you can have an experience of being in the presence of someone who you could potentially date, and you can just be totally yourself.
100% yourself.
Yeah.
Authentically
no airs, no strategizing to get someone to be more interested. Yeah, you can flirt and do all that fun stuff, but no strategizing to get someone to be more interested in you, just you. And that is, I mean, that's like revolutionary for some people.
It's funny, when I first started dating Martha, I told her early on, I go, if we hang out and you want to like hang out as dating, you know, I'm going to tell you 100% the truth about who I am. Everything about me up front. I'm going to tell you what I like, what I don't like, what my vision is, what my priorities are. I'm going to tell you everything, and I'm never going to change for you. Like, you either accept me or you don't. And it's not like you're bad or we can't be friends, but if we're going to enter into a relationship, I need to feel safe, and I want you to feel safe to be fully authentic of who you are. Your full expression, be it, flourish, grow. Like, I want this to be an environment of peace and harmony, so you can be yourself and say, but I want the same thing in return.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Why are we trying to dim our light in some way?
How did you get to that level of confidence to be able to say that to someone?
I was so willing to be alone and in peace than replicate the same pattern of choosing someone based on the chemical connection, not the spiritual connection.
Yeah.
So I chose because of chemical connections, because I would always go there quickly.
Yes.
And then I was like, oh, this is a great feeling. Okay, I must love this person or like this person. Let's see where it goes, right? And let's keep going back to that feeling.
Yeah.
As opposed to creating spiritual intimacy and authentic connection without sex.
Yes.
That was the game changer. And it took me, I don't know, 20 years to figure that out in multiple painful experiences. Because once I commit to something, then I want to make it work.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, I'll change whoever I am to make you happy. Because I want this to work.
Yeah.
Right? It's like the athlete in me. It's like, okay, if this isn't working, who do I need to shift to be so that you're happy? And then after 2 years of relationships, when people aren't happy, I'm like, I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
I've changed every part of who I am, my identity, to try to make someone happy who is just not a happy person. Or we're just not the right fit because we got bonded chemically, not spiritually.
Yes.
And we never had the courageous conversations early on about what we truly want in life.
Yeah.
So I wanted a certain life, and they didn't want that life. But we were connected. And that's why early on I was just like, this is who I am. This is my priorities. This is my life. This is my lifestyle. This is my vision for my life. This is a vision for a relationship that I want. Is that something that seems interesting to you?
Yeah.
Without having the sexual chemistry yet, right? We're connecting, bond.
Yes.
And her being able to critically and emotionally think without that sexual bond. And be like, clear-minded.
Very important also for a woman.
Clear-minded. Of like, yeah, I totally accept this, and I like this, and yeah, this sounds good to me. And me and Martha did exercises early on, before we got committed. We went to Sedona. I took her to Sedona in a vortex, and I created a vision and values exercise. Where I said, I want you to write down all your values. I don't want to see them. And I'm going to write down all my values. And we're going to look at this together and see, is there alignment? Or really your key things in life are not the same as what I want. And every time we do this, I was like, this may be the end of our like journey of dating and this process, because I want you to be so happy in a partnership. I want you to be thriving, safe, in an alignment of your. I don't want you to change your life. I want you to find a good match that supports your life. And I want that for me. So I want that for both of us. So this was all before that sexual, connection.